Okay, so this is section 8.3, continues. Remember the square root property that we talked about in the last video. We cannot use the square root property yet because the square root property says we have to have x squared equals a constant. It doesn't say we can have something in front of it. So my first step here is to divide by 8. So that turns the equation into x squared equals 5. Now this is in the form that we need this equation in. X squared equals a constant, so when we apply the square root property, this side becomes x, those are our answers, and remember what we do to the constant. What's the property called? The square root property. So you take the square root of 5, and there's one other thing the square root property says. Don't forget to put a plus or minus in front because you have two answers. And this is as far as we can go. The reason we can't go further is you can't break up 5 under the square root. There's no perfect square factor that comes out of 5. Okay. Oh, by the way, on Course Compass, if you were entering these answers, you know how Course Compass always says separate with a comma? So one of the answers would be the square root of 5, comma, a negative square root of 5. So that's Course Compass stuff. Okay? All right, here. X plus 5 quantity squared equals 81. We're ready to use the square root property. Something squared equals a number. On the left-hand side, when we apply the property, we no longer see the squared. We just see x plus 5. On the right-hand side, what do we do to the constant? We take its square root, and we remember to put a plus or minus in front of the square root sign. Now, as I continue with this equation, this simplifies into plus or minus a 9, since the square root of 81 is perfectly 9. A couple things to do to finish. To get x alone, we have to get rid of the 5, so we're going to subtract it. So I'm going to have negative 5. Oh, let me hold my paper still. I'm going to have a negative 5 plus or minus 9. And I want you to read this through with me. One answer is negative 5 plus 9. One answer is negative 5 plus 9. The other answer would be negative 5 minus 9. And of course, negative 5 plus 9 is a 4. So one of my answers in my solution set is 4. And negative 5 minus 9 is a negative 14. You could write it that way, or if you want to, you can just write, what you're used to. X equals 4, or x equals negative 14. It's completely correct, however, to put it in solution set form.